Well, I know that right off the jump, this build is going to ruffle some feathers. And that's okay. I know that this build has been made by lots of people. I know that there's a billion different ways to do every build. I should probably open just about every single one of my build videos with that line. But this is the way that I decided to build it. I really like Colby over at D4's build. I just don't agree with the process that he took to get to his version of Kaladin Stormblessed. So, with that said, why don't you come along with me on this journey on my version of Kaladin Stormblessed from the Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson. Alright, first things first, let's get race out of the way. Kaladin is a human. He's a Rasharan human, but he's a human, so that's a perfect candidate for variant human. There's not really any other option we have in here. Maybe custom lineage, but that's just variant human with extra steps. So let's go with that, yeah? As a variant human, we get to put +1 into 2 different stats. I chose dexterity and constitution. On screen here, I have the 2 different options for building your stats. So standard array and point buy, they kind of come out the same. The only real difference between the standard array version and the point buy version is your intelligence and wisdom. You kind of get to rearrange your 12 and 8 into 10 and 10. Otherwise, it's almost exactly the same. We also get a feat as a variant human. So we're going to take the skill expert. We get to put +1 into our constitution because you can put that +1 into any stat. And we're going to take expertise in medicine. Kaladin, before he becomes a soldier, is trained as a doctor by his father Liren. You know what? Let me go ahead and just, spoilers for the whole series, through Rhythm of War. Okay, good. Now, he's trained as a doctor by his father Liren. He was going to go to college or university or academy or whatever the word is in universe to go become trained by the best doctors. But Kaladin had other plans, and he went and enlisted in the army after his younger brother was drafted. Through very messed up series of events, but he became a soldier. And he was kind of always edging towards that route at, points throughout his growing up, but he went and became a soldier. So because of that, we're going to take our first level in Fighter. Now, taking our first level in Fighter gives us a lot of really good things. First of all, we start off with a D10 hit die. So we start off with the highest hit die besides Barbarian, but we're going to take our 10 hit points. We are living at 16 Constitution right now, so we get 3 more. So we're starting off level 1, 13 hit points. Great spot to be. We also get proficiencies in simple and martial weapons, light, medium, heavy armor, and shields, and our saving throws are in strength and constitution. Very basic setup. For starting equipment, leather armor is a good one. He's a soldier. I know he's typically showcased in his uniform, and that most of the spearmen aren't going to have armor, but I would say leather is a very reasonable thing for soldiers of this technology period to be wearing as their uniform almost. It's a little generous, I think, but still, it's what we're going to go for. And then for weapon, this is a tough one. Kaladin is a spearman. Spears are a D6, versatile up to a D8 if you two-handed. But we want to make this a dexterity-based build. So if we take the base of a D6, a short sword is also a D6 weapon, but you trade the versatile for the finesse property, which means that we can use a D6 as our dexterity-based weapon, flavor it as a spear because they're a 1-to-1 damage ratio, and then we just won't carry a shield to simulate, having a spear. I think it's fair. If you want to get really technical about it, you can swap the dexterity and strength scores. It won't make much of a difference. In general, it's going to hurt your armor class in the very long run. But overall, dexterity is a better stat. We can do this as a reflavoring kind of version of adjusting things, and I don't see any problem with it. I would 1000% let any of my players say, hey, I'm using a short sword, I'm going to call it a spear, I'm not using Polearm Master, I'm just, replacing damage dice 1-to-1. Fine. We also get a fighting style at level 1. Kaladin is a just natural protector. That's kind of his whole shtick. So the interception fighting style from Fighter is a really, really good option for him. It comes out of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, and it's a way for you to kind of get a Sentinel Light kind of thing going on, where you can use your reaction if an enemy is attacking someone other than you to reduce the incoming damage by 1d10 plus your proficiency bonus. So this will scale over time. So you can reduce it all the way by 16 later in the game. I don't think you're going to do that at some point, but I think it's a really good kind of fighting style flavor-wise for Kaladin, so that's what we're going to go with. Defense would mechanically be better, dueling would be mechanically better for offense, but this is the flavor pick in this situation, and I think it's the right one, just kind of knowing the character. Also level 1 we're going to get our second wind, but that's kind of secondary, a little bit of self-healing. At levels 2 and 3 we're staying in the fighter world. Level 2 you're going to get action surge. Level 3 we're going to take the Battlemaster subclass. I think that this one just makes sense for Kaladin as kind of a expert in the field of being able to use his weapons and tactics and come up with just being a slightly better soldier overall than the people that he's trained up with. As we get into this subclass, we get to pick 3 maneuvers. I think that the 3 best maneuvers in this case, and especially for this build, are going to be precision attack to make sure that we're hitting as often as possible. Riposte is going to kind of be the protection fighting style, or the interception fighting style for ourselves. So whenever an enemy attacks us and misses, we get to make a counterattack. And trip attack, we're going to be able to knock an enemy prone after we attack them. These 3 things are great. The goal of this overall kind of build is to make sure that we're using our action, bonus action, reaction as much as possible. We want to be very active on the battlefield. And by going with a Battlemaster and going with all these different options for bonus actions and reactions, we're going to have a lot to do. And it's only going to get slightly more complicated as we go along. At level 4, we're going to stick fighter. We get our first ASI. This is a straightforward one. We're just going to bump dex by 2, which means that we're going to have 18 dex, which means that our AC is going to go up by 1 and our damage is going to go up by 1. Straightforward, nice and easy. At level 5, gotta stay fighter. Remember, in general, we recommend staying single classed all the way through level 5 because that's when you get a big power bump. In this case, as a fighter level 5, we're going to get our extra attack, which means that our damage is going to functionally double. We're going to go from 7.5 damage on average all the way up to 15. I know we're not accounting for, hitting and missing. We'll worry about that later. Let's white room this, okay? At level 6, we are also going to stick fighter, and we're going to get another ASI where we're going to max out our dex. So this is going to take our AC up to 16 in leather armor, 17 in studded. If you manage to get studded at this point, you should be able to. It's only 45 gold, and if you don't have 45 gold by level 6, what are you spending it on? Anyway, it's also going to increase our damage by 2, 1 on each attack. So now our main stat is maxed out. We're good to go. We can rock with whatever other decisions we want to make. And speaking of decisions, it's time for us to swear our first oath. So we're going to become a first ideal Radiant at this point and become a Celestial Pact Warlock. This brings a lot of things along with it. 1, we get Pact magic, which is really nice. We also get 2 free cantrips, Light and Sacred Flame. These are both Warlock cantrips for you, so we get to cast them with Charisma. Not going to be something we use very often, but it'll be there. We also get our Healing Light, which is going to be our Stormlight healing kind of thing where we can heal ourselves through absorbing all of our Stormlight. You can use it on other people, but thematically we're going to be a little bit selfish with this and use it as self-healing. We also get 1 first level spell slot and 2 spells known. So I really like Mage Hand to kind of simulate Syl a little bit here, especially in the over the chasm scene, if you know what I mean. And I really like the Friends cantrip. It kind of helps because we're not going to be going terribly into charisma here, and Kaladin seems to be able to influence people quite a bit despite having kind of a naturally low charisma. He's kind of, if you know what he's like, he's kind of brash and slightly myopic and doesn't really have a ton of charisma naturally, so he kind of needs a little bit of help here. For our spells known, Unseen Servant, again, kind of a Syl thing, and then Expeditious Retreat. That's going to be our Stormlight-infused movement kind of a thing. It's going to give us a bit of an opportunity to kind of maneuver the battlefield a little bit more. Our next level is going to be in Warlock again. At this point, we get invocations. We get to pick 2 of them at this point, and the best ones, in my opinion, are going to be Eldritch Mind, or we're going to be able to keep our concentration a little bit easier whenever we have a spell that we're concentrating on. And we're going to take Fiendish Vigor. It's going to give us temporary hit points to walk into pretty much any battle with. You can spam this, it doesn't cost anything. You just kind of have to prepare yourselves. Just tell your DM that you're going to kind of be, getting this ready before battle, this way you don't have to waste an action during. It lasts for an hour, so at just the very hint of danger, you should be able to get this going and walk into any battle with a little bit of temporary hit points. We also get a new spell slot, so now we have 2 first level spell slots, and we get a new spell. Because we are a Celestial Warlock, we have access to Cure Wounds. This would be good for some out-of-battle healing. We could do it ourselves. We could, simulate doing, all the expert medical stuff that Cal has as he goes through, and it's just his, expertise shining through. He's just better at it than everybody else. Next level is Warlock 3, which is where we get to make our Pact boon. I really like the idea of going Pact of the Chain here and choosing a sprite as our Find Familiar. I know that a lot of people would say take Pact of the Blade here. This is where you summon your Shardblade. This is all of those different things. We're kind of becoming that next level Radiant. I think Pact of the Chain is more interesting for kind of one main reason here. We can drop the Fiendish Vigor invocation, and we can pick up Gift of the Ever-Living Ones, which maxes out our healing to ourselves whenever we have to roll a dice to heal. This includes Cure Wounds, Healing Word, our hit dice. When we do our Healing Light, all of those things, we get instant maxed healing as long as our familiar is within 100 feet of us. So it should totally be doable outside of combat. And even in combat, it's going to make your healers more effective on you. So I love this as just a preservation kind of a thing. We also get our spells increased to 2nd level, and we get access to the Shadowblade spell. This is what changes everything for us. Shadowblade is going to be our Shardblade, and it's why we want to protect it with our concentration. It's why we took Eldritch Mind when we did, because you can only switch one at a time. But the tech goes from being a 1d6 plus 5 slashing weapon in our spear, short sword, to now using our Shadowblade, where the damage is 2d8. We have taken our damage from, on average, 17 slashing to 28 psychic. This is, one, a better damage type, because slashing can be resisted assuming you haven't gotten a magical weapon yet. Not a whole lot resist psychic. Some things do, but in general, in this level range, probably not. It's magical. It has the Throne property, and it has the Finesse property. So it is overall just a tremendous magical weapon upgrade for us. It's our Shardblade. And in my head, psychic damage kind of goes with that, damaging the soul thing that they have going on here. I think it's super thematic. And you can flavor it as being made of, mists instead of dark energy. That's just a flavor thing. I'm not going to change anything for you. At level 4, we get another ASI. Now our main stat is already maxed, and our main kind of process for doing damage doesn't require our spellcasting ability. So we can kind of afford to not worry about boosting our charisma too much. We can go ahead and take Warcaster. And if we take Warcaster, we can drop Eldritch Mind, and we can pick up Armor of Shadows, which would be the equivalent of getting our Shard Plate. It's concentration-free mage armor with our max defense, or our maxed dexterity is going to set our AC to 18. I think we're in a really good spot. I think obviously you can do better if you have magical armor and all those different things, but getting 18 AC for free, basically, one, it matches the whole idea of getting Shard Plate. It matches the fact that you're only wearing a uniform. It's the best defense you can get, with those requirements. And we have all the benefits of Warcaster, which we were kind of borrowing from with our Eldritch Mind. It means that we can attack, with a cantrip if we want to. Probably going to be much better off using our Shadowblade to do most of our reaction attacks. But the option is there if we want it. We also get to pick up a new spell. Lesser Restoration is another good kind of healing thing going on that'll come right from the Celestial expanded spell list. And then for our final level, remember all of my builds go from 1 to 11, and we talk about kind of an epilogue after. We're going to take Warlock 5. This will increase our spell slots up to 3rd level. This is going to be another big boost to our damage because our Shadowblade now becomes 3d8, which is going from 28 psychic damage up to 37 psychic damage on average. And we also get a new invocation. We can take Investment of the Chainmaster, which kind of lets us do a little bit more with our Sill in battle. You can work on Heartsight or, all these different things that are listed above here. It's just a little bit more, connection to your familiar, I guess is kind of the best way to describe it. And that's pretty much the end of the build. At this point, you have a pretty functional 4th ideal level Kaladin. You have functionally made it all the way through Rhythm of War in terms of developing your abilities from growing up as a doctor to becoming a soldier to becoming a Knights Radiant. You've gained all these abilities that I think are super fitting. You are still mainly a frontline marshal who just supplements himself with a specially crafted magic weapon that has lots of different forms, right? You can throw it, you can use it short range, you can use it with your dexterity. Overall, I think you're spot on. There there's obviously a lot of levels left. So if you want to talk epilogue, there's a few ways to go. If you want to go into the wisdom route, you get some more interesting spells that way. You get the option to maximize some of your lightning or thunder damage. We're not doing a ton of that, but it's there. Life Domain Cleric would really make sense because your healing is just so good. You know, you're the best healer in the army at that point. I think it's a good option. And then, you know, stay pure College of Swords or College of Valor Bard. I think that there's some diminishing returns if you go down that route, but it is an option. Or you can just go purely fighter for the rest of it. You won't ever get to 4th attack, but you'll be able to pick up more ASIs, more feats, stuff like that. Some feats here. Tough is a really good one for Kaladin. Prodigy is a really good one for Kaladin. Healer makes sense. We probably should have picked it up earlier, but we had other things to do with our ASIs. Inspiring Leader, you don't have really the charisma to max it out, but for the most part, it's solid, right? There's nothing wrong with walking into every battle with temporary hit points. And then Lucky, he's the main character. Can't go wrong with a little bit of plot armor. Anyway, that is my take on how to build Kaladin Stormblessed in D&D 5e. Let me know where you think that this build deviated from other things, what your take on it would be, and let me know your favorite Kaladin moment down in the comments. I'm interested to see how you guys feel as strongly connected to him as I do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.